With that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Jerry, who will share about 20 minutes. I'll now hand it over to you.
Thanks, John. My name's Jerry, I'm an addict. Do you know what? I'd say I'm not nervous, but so I'm sitting here and I'm sort of watching that door, and more people are coming in slowly but surely, and the power mind's sitting on the end there sort of making a little joke, and my face is going, it's like, and at the minute I feel like I'm sitting on a boiler. It's like, I feel quite nervous, ain't the word. But yeah, so someone said to me this was the first meeting of the, I forgot what year we're in now, look, 24th convention, and that sort of applied a bit of pressure. It's sort of, I want to live up to the expectations of others, of our predecessors and whatever. To be quite honest, the truth is, it's my story and my story only. And my story is pretty similar to a lot of people in here, that once I start using, I can't stop. And my addiction started at a very young age, really, really young. I was, at the age of 7, I'd already started smoking, so therefore, that addictive nature, or the addiction that I suffer with, has been there from a very early age. And ruled my life, to be quite honest. The ways and means to get more started. What started, do you know what, I'm a bit, as I said, nervous, and I'm backwards and forwards. Truth be known, I love drugs. A bit too much. I just don't like the consequences of what the drugs do to me and where they take me to. They don't take me to pretty. My using ain't wine bars and fucking West End nightclubs, even though it starts there. It ends up in pissy underpasses, telephone boxes and bin shoots. That's the reality of my using. And if anyone knows me on Facebook, you've sort of seen pictures of my using, and it's quite horrific. And what happened is, over the years of using what started as fun, funny enough, there's a person that's sitting in this room that my sort of fun days started with, and the mad thing is, there's a few of us that grew up together that have went up in the NA Fellowship. So maybe it's a bit to do with our upbringing that significantly we ended up here. The Last Chance Saloon. What happened is, I lost my mum in 1997, and I thought I was alright up until then. Growing up, where I come from, you could take everything and anything you wanted, bar heroin and crack, and people that took heroin and crack were no good shit, and pardon the language, but something that you'll have to deal with. Where I come from, it was the no-no. You was allowed to sell it, you weren't allowed to take it. Only problem is, I started with a drink, then cannabis, solvents, then a drink, then cannabis, and the progression went on and on until eventually I lost my mum and I went up on them. Then frowned upon substances that we weren't allowed to take. But do you know what? I found more within them substances than I did out of anything. But them two substances robbed me of a lot of years. I used for them two for about 15, 16 years. And along the way, I had many treatment centres, trips to treatment where I would go in and it would be, I'm looking at one substance that's ruining my life, and I'm not looking at whatever substance I use is going to bring me to my knees. And I'd go into, I remember the first one was on the Isle of Dogs, and it was an alcohol detox. I think I was 19 at the time, so it was quite a few years ago. And I went in and I meant to be doing 14 days, and I walked out after, I think it was 7, and come out and I used. And then the next one was about 5 years later. I went up in South East London in one Brook Drive, and I went up in there, I think I was about 3 days, and I come out and I used. And what I come to understand now is most of the times that I went in them treatment centres, I was running on self-will. And as I said, I was looking at one primary substance, and it'd be, well, if I put that one down, my life will get better. But I'll be allowed to do everything else, and I'd walk out of every detox or every treatment centre, and it'd be, I'll have a drink. As soon as I pick up that drink, within 24 hours, I'm back at square one, looking for what my primary substance, heroin and crack. This time round, what happened is about 5 years ago, I went down with pneumonia, collapsed lung, and went up on a life support machine in St Thomas's Hospital. And, when I come to with breathing apparatus and heart monitors and whatever all over me, so obviously I couldn't get out of bed. But once they got all them lines and that off me, the first thing I've done was went down, straight across the road into the off licence, and I drank. And I continued for quite a while, and I wound up getting put into my own sort of flat, which I thought would help, and it didn't. It just made it a bit more comfortable to use. And what happened is that one thing, that one primary substance that I was signed to, I was having to pick up a script on a daily basis, and that sort of way of life that I'd become comfortable to wasn't a problem while I had the roof. And I remember talking with a drugs worker, and he said to me, maybe you should try and get off the medication that you're on. So I agreed to go into a detox not too far from here. And once again, I went to this detox looking at one primary substance, and that was the one that was ruining my life. And something happened in that treatment centre that I did not expect to happen. Geezer I used to work for had 12-stepped me about 19, 20 years ago now. He took me to my first meeting, and I suppose the seed was planted then. And I went up in this treatment centre, and NA was coming in, H&I. Anyone that does service for H&I, I'll take me out of tears. They come in and come in to share their experience, strength and hope. And I started my 90 and 90 in that meeting, but what happened is, in this treatment centre, on the wall there was the word abstinent, something that I always thought didn't apply to me. You said abstinent, I said bollocks. That was my attitude towards it. It was like, yeah, we can go through the alphabet and we can name every word bar abstinence. And I looked, and it was like, that don't apply to me. And over that 14 days, I believe it was a spiritual awakening, because within that 14 days I'd done a meeting every day, and no matter in that room, I could sit with my back to this big colourful sign, and I'd have my back to it, and I'd look and catch the reflection in the window, and it'd be like, oh, you bastard. And something happened, and I'd come out and I thought, right, I'm going to have to try someone else's way, because my way obviously isn't working. 6 or 7 detoxes down, and government funding's getting really hard. I've got to try something. So I phoned the person while I was in there. I phoned the geezer that took me to my first meeting, and he said to me, well, just get the where to find, and then make sure that you sort of do. But what I'd heard in that treatment centre is do 90 and 90, find a sponsor, listen to the similarities, not the differences, and all this sort of gear. And what happened is, I come out of this treatment centre, and I found myself, I walked to the top of the hill, and I found myself in like a little convenience store, and I went in there with all good intentions, just to get a packet of tobacco and a soft drink, and found myself in the alcohol fridge at the end of the shop with my hand on a beer. And something at that moment sort of said to me, what are you doing? And I put the beer back, I've got a bottle of Purdy's, I've got the tobacco, I run home, and I've got the where to find out in my bag. And I went up in a meeting in Soho. And my journey sort of started from there. And along the journey, for the first sort of year, 18 months, it was coffee shop recovery and doing loads of meetings. And there's people, I mean, John who's sitting here, and there's Tommy over there. There's a few of us that we all sort of a daytime, we'd go and do a meeting, and then of an evening we'd go on to another meeting, and we'd have that little laugh and a joke that I hadn't had for years. I couldn't laugh. It was too serious. It was like, laugh. I was too busy earning money than to be laughing. So what happened is I sort of come in and I started applying this program, which that look at the similarities and not the differences. I always looked at the differences. I always looked at people and sort of judged them by what they was wearing, how they was looking, and not sort of listening to how they was feeling. And a lot of people I looked at and I think just didn't use like me. And I've met people in this fellowship that I know fucking use like me, and as I said, my using it ain't no pretty picture. What consequences down to my using that hindered me really, really badly, breathing and whatever. And it's sort of, I've achieved something that I never thought I'd have achieved. I'm 45. I was street homeless, and I was a bad substance misuse, whatever you want to call it. And most people with my history are dead before the age of 45. Through the aid of the Narcotics Anonymous Fellowship, I actually made 45. And there's a lot of people that I used with that weren't fortunate enough to get to my age. And since I've been clean, I've been to funerals. Things I use on normally is like funerals, bereavements. No good with that. I'd rather block it out. I'd rather get totally off my face, and then I don't have to deal with it. I've dealt with it. In the first year, 3 members of my family passed away. Normally that'd be a good reason for a piss up. And I didn't, and I sort of went and represented my family. And my family are now proud of the person I've become. They don't sort of frown upon me as I say you waste of space, which they've got every right to. One of my sisters didn't speak to me for 17 years. She now if I don't speak to her at least once a week, then something's wrong. Something's wrong. It's I've had family gear going on, and she's the first one to pick the phone up to me now and sort of ask me questions. She sort of picks my brains around the addiction side of things, because she has a son whose behaviour is pretty similar to mine, and there's little alarm bells. And what this fellowship has gave me, it's gave me the sort of communicating skills where I can sort of answer some of her questions in the right sort of manner, and actually be there for her. Where when I was using it was like, fuck off. I'm not there, weren't there for myself, why should I be there for anyone else? But it's sort of, drugs weren't my problem. Drugs were a solution to my problem. I'm now realising, because life on life's terms is a bit of a bitch. And sometimes it would really, really, do you know what? Sometimes it'd be nice to have a day off. That's the truth. Sometimes it'd be nice to have a day off. Only problem is, I don't know when that day's going to end. Once I pick up, I don't know when I'm stopping. My last relapse took me out there for 4 years. So I walked from Croydon to Brixton looking for an off licence. Right, so one fault overriding every other fault. And I was going to have one. And that one took me 4 years to get back into treatment. So when they say the first one does the damage, they're 100% right. Cheers, John. Cheers. What have I got from recovery? Do you know what? He's just give me the 5 minutes. I'll speak once. I don't even think I'll go on for another 5 minutes. What have I got from coming in? I've actually got a life today, and sometimes it's hectic that I really don't want it, but I deal with it. And it's through picking up the phone and speaking with people in recovery, because most of the people on my phone are people that are in recovery, and I sort of manage a day-to-day life. I get up, I go to work, don't want to go, but I go. I pay my bills, I do. I've reaped the rewards of getting clean. I've been on the holidays and I'm getting them the nicer, because anyone says about it's an inside job. It's nice to have them outside bits as well. It ain't just internal that you need to fix, because sometimes we need to treat ourselves right. Sometimes a bit more than others, but yeah. But it is. It's, don't get me wrong. I mean, for years I was lining other people's pockets. It's about time that I lined my own and treated myself for a change. If you didn't get nothing from my chair, there's plenty of other meetings on this weekend. Enjoy the London Convention. I'll leave it there.
Thanks, Joe.